talking today, just a couple of days before President Trump is to leave for a summit meeting in China. And this July, we celebrate the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. So it's a question about where we stand right now. And here's a story from this morning's New York Times on the way China looks at the United States. For decades, many Chinese viewed the United States with a mix of admiration, envy, and resentment. President Trump's volatile second term shattered that image. China increasingly views America as in decline. Are the Chinese right?
No, it's just the opposite. I mean, if you look at the world right now, I would say the last 13 or 14 years, China's Belt and Road, they thought that pretty soon the Western Hemisphere was going to be theirs. They had economic outposts in Venezuela, in Colombia, in Bolivia, Peru. They had entry and exit points at the Panama Canal. And they've been thrown out now of Venezuela. There's a conservative government in Argentina. There's one in Chile. They're starting to reappear, and the Monroe Doctrine is starting to be reapplied. And
the Monroe Doctrine says this hemisphere belongs to the United States.
And China is not buying sanctioned oil at a discount from a Western Hemisphere. If you look at the Middle East, they had the same type of agenda, and they were buying sanctions. They have no toehold, nor does Russia. Russia doesn't have a toehold. They lost Syria, they lost Iran. So, and then you look at militarily, you look at their weapons that were supposed to be ironclad in Iraq. They were incompetent. They didn't work. This has enormous consequences for Taiwan. They look at the Russians, who have similar weapons as their own, and they can't take Ukraine. They look at what the United States did against their air defenses, and that shocked them. They look at drones and this new technology and say, how are we going to get 110 miles from the mainland to Taiwan with a sea and air of drones? So, and then you look at their economy. We were told they were going to surpass us now. Their GDP is about 21 trillion and we're about 30. So if you do just by the population, they have 1.4 billion people. We have 340. So roughly one American, I'm talking about all ages, just roughly, one American produces 30% more goods and services than China, than his Chinese counterpart, economically. If you look at the system politically, here we're having really a lot of anger that Pete Hegseth canned 3 or 4 iconic generals that, for different reasons. Xi just went in without any discussion, wiped out the whole class of his military and fired them, and they're probably not going to be heard from. And when you look at immigration, nobody wants to go to China. There's no immigration. Nobody's saying, I got to get into China. And they still want to get into the United States. If you look at the top 10 countries, corporations in the world based on market capitalization, 8 of 10 are American. If you look at chief fields of chief technological or scientific fields, cryptocurrency, robotics, genetic engineering, AI, the United States is either leading all of them or at one. If you look at how China is achieving near parity in some, it's because they have 300,000 students here. And and I've taught them at Pepperdine and other places.
Chinese nationals studying in this country.
And they're here to appropriate American technology, science, STEM courses, and go back and replicate it in China. So it's a derivative culture. And they're never going to be able to catch up because they have a closed system. And how you are advanced as a surgeon or as a scientist will be based on ideology. It's sort of like the Islamic world. Whereas here, I think 4 out of the top companies by market capitalization are foreigners, foreign-born. I mean, there's a problem with that if they're not fully acclimatized, acculturated, integrated, and assimilated. And their first loyalty, we had a mayor today, and I think it was in Orange County, that was working for the Chinese. But we had a member of the Stanford faculty, lecturer, I think, that was a member of the People's Liberation Army yearly appointment, neuroscientist, as I remember. But by and large, we're an open, free society, and we've got talent all over the world, and we're ahead of them. And I mean, they don't have anything like Elon Musk. His rockets, one man in the United States is making more sophisticated rockets than their whole country. And so I don't see that.
And it's because it traces right back to the founding.
It does.
250 years ago.
They created a system.
The reason that we can maintain our dominance even today, there's no notion of decline. There's no way in which this country is spent and simply sinking in some way. It remains vibrant because I'm asking this. I'm putting this in the form of a question. Because of the liberty that notion of liberty that you already quite carefully defined, that sophisticated but basic notion of liberty that the Declaration and the Constitution enshrined.
It has, and people have a good idea, they're free to go pursue it. If they want to go to a different state, they go it. If they want to change, you look at the Times educational supplement of the top 50 universities, and believe me, they're not fans of America. Of course, they have
The people who put
Oxford,
together
Cambridge, but I mean, it's always Caltech or MIT, and then they'll sneak in Cambridge or Oxford, but then it's Harvard, Yale, Princeton, or Stanford. California alone has 5 universities in their top 50. Stanford, Caltech, USC, UCLA, and UC Berkeley. And I think of the top 50, 40 of them are American. There's 2 Chinese. So we are educating the elite of the world, and about a quarter of them don't leave.